Welcome to my studio. This is the space I adore. It's where I dream, make things, and build a collection of tools. If you're new here, thank you for watching my video. I am Gift, a paper crafter. I make paper from recycled paper and turn it into notebooks, prints, and stickers. I'm from Thailand and have been living in Sammamish, Washington with my husband and two cats. Two main things that drew me into paper crafting: the sustainability aspect and the joy of doing things by hand, away from the screen, at least a little bit. I love that I could turn such abundant and inexpensive resources like recycled paper and secondhand fabric into something useful and uniquely beautiful. Along the way, I also got to practice patience and creativity. I had a long list of products to make for an upcoming market, Crowfest. It was my first official outdoor and biggest market so far. I was excited and nervous. At that time, I focused on making tiny hardcover books. These tiny books were in A7 size, about 3 by 4 inches. I had already prepared the signatures the night before, cutting, folding, and punching holes in the paper. Signatures are sets of folded sheets of paper. When bound together, they form the text block. The binding method was French link and kettle stitch binding. It has been my usual method for all books. Here's how I did it up close. I'll make a proper tutorial video later where I explain it clearly. For now, just enjoy the process. If I wanted love and attention, or even a healthy distraction while crafting, I usually turn to my cat. This is Rosie. She likes to be around me whenever I craft or do housework. She's fun, energetic, and has an obsession with silicone seals. Pets always remind us of how easy it is to be happy and satisfied. Before continuing crafting, I went into the kitchen for a good snack. I made myself a sourdough toast with almond butter and peach paste. This peach paste was so good. I got it from a meat market here in Sammamish. Back to my books. Once I was done stitching, I put the books under pressure to keep all the signatures and stitching tight and absolutely flat before applying the glue. The tools I used could be a pair of clamps, bricks, or in this case, a finishing press. My husband made this one for me. I wanted to put it to the test. It tightened the books real good. I skipped one step in this video, which is inserting waste paper between the books to prevent the spines from sticking to one another. I did a quick fix by running a blade through the books to make some separation. This reduced the chance of tearing paper when separating the books. While waiting for the glue to dry, I prepared the molds. Mold is a cloth strip placed on a book spine after binding to reinforce it. I used white curtain fabric and have been using this curtain for all the hardcover books I made because I had a lot of it at home. I cut each mold wide enough for the whole spine plus some overhang on each side, and long enough to cover most of the spine but not the kettle stitches on both sides. After the molds were ready, I separated the books from one another. applied a second layer of glue to the spines and stuck a mold on each book. I like using a toothbrush to brush the mold along the spine to help it fit perfectly once glued. The next step was to put on indbands. Indbands are the small decorative fabric pieces that sit between the signatures and the book boards. Traditionally, they are threads sewn with signatures that wrap around a cord. I got my indbands from Amazon, cut them to the size of the book spines, and glued them on at the head and tail of the spine, like so. Once this was done, I call it a day. The next day, I worked on the book covers. I used book boards as the stiff material and secondhand fabric as the soft material to wrap the boards, or you can call this the book cloth. There are two types of boards I use for book covers, the thin ones and the thick ones. I used the thin ones, as you see here, when I made tiny books with jeans as book cloths. Jeans are already thick and bulky, and they would be even more so if I went with the thick boards. Thick and bulky books wouldn't look good as small books. On the other hand, I use thick boards when making bigger books and when using thinner fabric as book cloths. For each book, I cut out two boards, the front and the back, of the same size. I cut the book spine and then did a fit check with the text block by sticking the three boards together with leaving some hinge gap. This step showed me if I needed to trim the book boards at all. Hinge gap was one thing that tripped me up quite a bit. If I left too little or too much of a gap, the book wouldn't be opened properly without ripping apart the area around the hinge. It also made the books look janky. Based on my experience, the factors that impacted the hinge gap were the thickness of the book cloth and the book boards. Once the board pieces fit the book, it was time to turn normal fabric into a book cloth. For each jeans book cloth, I didn't bag it up with paper because the fabric was already thick. All I did was glue the boards to the fabric and trim the sides and corners. For other thinner fabric like cotton tablecloths, I bag it up with paper by using a heat and bond sheet. Paper backing helped build some structure to the fabric and prevented the glue from seeping through when assembling the books. I glued all four overhang flaps to the boards, starting from the length sides to the width sides. I try my best when folding the corners. The smoother, the better. The next step tested how fast, neat, and precise I was. I took this as a challenge and started assembling the text block to the cover. I grabbed a piece of waste paper and inserted it behind the first page. I applied the glue and brushed quickly and thoroughly. I did the same to the other end page of the book. I aligned the text block spine center to the cover spine horizontally and vertically. I grabbed the cover on both sides and stuck it to the end pages. I started pressing from the book spine toward the ends of the cover. I made sure the bookboard spine sat tightly against the cover spine. You might also see other assembling methods done by other bookmakers. I'm showing you my preferred method. The last step was placing skewers on the hinge gaps to create a nice touch of groove between the covers and the spine. Here, I use the same finishing press I showed before. If you don't have this, you can press your book with bricks or heavy books. Ideally, I like to leave it overnight to really make the grooves permanent. And here's how all these books look in the press with skewers inserted. And here they are once removed from the press. Aren't they pretty? I love the details around the hinges, the grooves that feel like dimples on the books, and the end-band colors that complement the book cloth so well. And that's how I made all these hardcover tiny books for Crowfest, an upcoming market. What do you think about these books? Do you like them? And what else do you want to know more about? Comment below. And thank you so much for watching my video until the end. See you next time!